Oh, without. All right. We're live. Hello, good evening, everyone, and a very warm welcome to MUFC Red Devils NCR. This is Delvin, and I, as always, have with me a panel of esteemed gentlemen with me. I have Mojo sir, I have Rohit bhai, and I have Abhijit bhai with me. Very good evening to all of you. Hope everyone doing well,
Hi,
and
Delvin.
I think
Hello,
there's
hello.
genuine cause and genuine reason to be doing well because we've been on a very good winning run. I must say, I think this is the longest winning run that we have been on for quite a while. I mean, it's eight straight games that we've won now under 10 in all competitions, with majority of them being clean sheets as well. Slowly and steadily, step by step, minute by minute, we are slowly building a penchant for being more resolute, being more resilient, and I think adversity does not phase this team up the same like it did, say, the first two games of this season or the entire second half of the season where Anik was under command. Uh, Ten Hag has slowly and steadily demanded accountability from everyone, which means that all the players have a certain standard to uphold, which is why they're also seeing a lot of fringe players put in their best performances as well, irrespective of the number of minutes that they're getting to play. They all enter the pitch with the same goal, that is make an impact in whatever little time you have, which was not something that we seen in the previous managements or under previous managers as well. Anxiety, I'm going to start with you. 8 games. Some people are arguing that the strength of opposition is not the greatest, with all due respect to the opponents that we have beaten. But then
Mhm.
again, at the end of the day, it is what it is. You only beat what is in front of you. Because if we ended up losing to even one of those teams, the knives would have been out in an instant that Ten Hag is not cut for the job, these players are overrated, so on and so forth. So, what do you make of this winning run, and what has been your expression towards the performances that have been shown by the players in this winning run, the 8 game streak that we've had?
See, it has been good to watch our team play, and इतना मैं to be very honest मैं इतना excited नहीं हूँ. मैं actual में one game at a time पे ही चल रहा हूँ, because I am still not very confident about the squad strength that we have, the bench strength that we have. एंड मुझे एक चीज हमेशा खलती है कि कुछ भी होगा ना हमारे फ्रंट लाइन में, फॉरवर्ड थ्री में, तो वो इलांगा आ जाएगा. तो अगर इफ यू आर गेटिंग इलांगा तो यार इससे मतलब क्या कर सकते हैं. तो दैट्स व्हाई आई एम सेइंग कि अभी रैशफोर्ड का फॉर्म अच्छा है, वन गेम एट अ टाइम चल रहे हैं, इट्स गुड. एंड यू स्पोक अबाउट द क्वालिटी ऑफ ओपोनेंट्स. सो एवर्टन के अगेंस्ट सिटी को अराउंड कितने 60-70 मिनट 80 मिनट्स लगे थे एक गोल करने में, हमने तो 3 मिनट में ही मार दिए थे. तो इसमें हमारी क्या गलती है? So it's not about the quality of opponent that you are facing, but yes, there are changes that we can see. जो आपने बोला कि fringe players भी आ रहे हैं and they are performing. So that is one of the things that I have been dying. मैं मतलब सोचते रहता था कि ये कब होगा हमारे क्लब में. Like ओले के टाइम पे तो 13 बंदे थे, न्यूक्लियस था 13 बंदों का, वो खेलते थे. रैंगनिक आया और गया, कुछ हमें फर्क नहीं पड़ा. बट यस, अभी ये है कि आपने देखा होगा विसाका आया है एंड द वे ही हैज परफॉर्म, उसने सबको चुप करा दिया. द वे ही हैज परफॉर्म, इन्वर्टेड फुल बैक खेल रहा है बंदा और असिस्ट भी दे रहा है. ही हैज बीन परफॉर्मिंग वेल. शॉ का आपने देखा होगा, शॉ डिड नॉट स्टार्ट द सीजन वेरी वेल. फिर मलाशिया को लेके आए थे हम अगेंस्ट लिवरपूल, एंड मलाशिया उस टाइम 2-3 मैचेस खेला, देन शॉ आया. सो शॉ भी अपने परफॉर्मेंस को, ही पिक्ड अप हिज परफॉर्मेंस एंड ही इवन टोल्ड, उसने बोला भी था मीडिया में आके कि पहले ये होता था कि नो मैटर हाउ यू आर परफॉर्मिंग यू विल बी प्लेइंग, यू हैव दैट गारंटीड स्टार्टर का एक मुहर लगा रहता था. सो नाउ दैट हैज चेंज. सो दिस थिंग, दिस एनवायरनमेंट, दिस डिसिप्लिन, रैशफोर्ड सो गया तो उसको नहीं खिलाया. एंड वी वर प्लेइंग अगेंस्ट वुल्व्स, वुल्व्स के अगेंस्ट वी हैव ऑलवेज स्ट्रगल्ड, और सोया रह गया बंदा, उसको नहीं खिलाया. सो दीज थिंग्स हम ये देखते आए हैं सैफ के टाइम से, एंड नाउ इट इज हैपनिंग अगेन. रिजर्व टीम के को भी ही इज टेकिंग केयर. सो दीज आर गुड थिंग्स, गुड साइंस, एंड आई एम वेरी हैप्पी अबाउट इट. एंड वन गेम एट अ टाइम, आई एम स्टिल वेरी कंसर्न अबाउट आवर बेंच स्ट्रेंथ. मैं बहुत कंसर्न हूँ, बट यस, एक एक मैच हो रहा है, वी आर विनिंग एंड आई एम हैप्पी अबाउट इट. आई एम वेरी हैप्पी एंड वेरी पॉजिटिव. डेल्विन, आपकी आवाज नहीं आ रही है.
हाँ, सॉरी, माय बैड. सो लाइक एंजाइटी भाई, आपने जो बोला कि हम आप cautiously optimistic हो, आप one game at a time ले रहे हो, and वैसे ही होना चाहिए. I think at the end of the day we need to take it one game at a time. This is exactly what Arsenal have been doing. I'm not
Yes.
comparing. I'm not comparing the seasons of both the teams, but that is what Arsenal are doing. They're taking it one game at a time. They're not letting anything distract their focus.
Mhm.
And I think at the end of the day, this is what we have to focus on. So
Mhm.
Mojo sir, let's talk about the manager a little bit more. I think we all know that you, out of all of us, have been one of the staunchest advocates for Ten Hag ever since he got the job in April. I mean, in spite of the fact that we ended up having the worst possible start for under his management, and then the quicksand upon quicksand upon quicksand, which for any other manager would have been suicide at that point. Ten Hag has managed each and every situation so beautifully and with so much of grace, but at the same time, he's not relinquished any sort of command or any sort of power, that influence that he's had in the dressing room. So, what do you make of it?
Look, my biggest worry, if any, was when Ten Hag was signed, and he made that statement that this team is good enough, and they finished second the season before when Oli finished second. तो उस टाइम में भाई मतलब फट गई थी. मैंने कहा हेलो, दिस इज अनदर वन ऑफ दोस यस मैन्स कि हाँ भाई ठीक है, ग्लेजर्स ने अपॉइंट कर दिया, जी सर जी हजूर करते रहो. And you're absolutely right. Well, once the season started, I mean, in a way, I'm glad we got a real time rollicking against Brighton and Brentford, because had we not, then the cultural shift जो एक टीम में चाहिए था, या एक मैनेजर का जो एक authoritative style which had to be literally stamped over these fuckers who screwed the season last year, had to be put in place, वो नहीं होता. Because everybody would have been on that typical new manager bounce, and game जीत गए जी, Brighton से जीत गए, Brentford से जीत गए, ha, United is back, all this stuff would have happened. Lekin because we lost those two games, and it's good it happened quickly, because Ten Hag realized that this team or this set of players cannot play the footballing philosophy that he has. And it's very well documented, very well discussed on all other fan forums, that he very soon realized that he had to change his playing style, given the players he had. But more than changing the playing style, I think जो सबसे ज़्यादा ज़रूरी बात थी was getting some discipline into these players that we had. And none more so for the way he handled the Ronaldo situation was impeccable, absolutely impeccable. And Delvin, in the previous videos that I've been with you, I have been a Ronaldo fan while he's been a United player. I have given a shot all what he's done at Real Madrid or Juventus.
Sure. Absolutely.
And I don't give a shit what he does at Al Nassr or wherever he goes. But when you're a United player and you are a Cristiano Ronaldo, you pull up your socks. He has absolutely brilliantly handled the Ronaldo situation. Now, if there was any truth to the fact that Ronaldo had personal issues, then Hag gave him the time to stay away from the first team, get it sorted. If there was any issues that he didn't have the fitness to go to match the Premier League demands, he was allowed time to. I think he also played one of the reserve games, if I recall correctly. Just before.
30 to 40 minutes, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, but he did. Yes,
he was given time to train effectively. He was given 30 to 40 minutes in a reserve game to get some match sharpness, and then he comes back and then he fucks up. So, for what Ten Hag has done in terms of, one, changing his playing style depending upon the type of players he inherited.
Correct.
Two, imposing his authority, and that imposing authority, the first step was that after the Brentford game, when the team was told to do those extra miles of running, he ran with them.
Okay.
Right? And not one of those Ollies or the Mourinhos of this world who are sitting in the office and just passing instructions to the other coaching staff. He did it himself.
Yeah.
Third, the handling of Ronaldo's situation. I don't think anyone in the modern game, apart from Sir Alex, could have handled the way he did it. So Sir Alex got the best out of him. Eric Ten Hag couldn't get the best out of Ronaldo, but not because of Eric Ten Hag's problem, but more to do with Ronaldo's issues. So it's not that Eric Ten Hag was managing the team poorly, because had he been managing the team poorly with Ronaldo still here, or while he was still there, we would have been in a far worse position. And then comes a playing philosophy. So once you're done with stamping authority, once you're done with Ronaldo's out of the way, then look at the way we've played the games while Ronaldo's not been around.
Some of our
There
best
is some,
performances.
yes, there is certain sense of identity in terms of how we are playing. There is a certain sense of team cohesion. There is a certain sense that it could be a Garnacho who scores for you, it could be a Martial, it could be a Anthony, it could be a Rashford, but previously it was भैया जी को बॉल पास करनी है. भैया जी नहीं हो गए साले, पता नहीं क्या इसकी सरकार के माई बाप हो गए. So it was all over the place. And most importantly, while I would still say that Ten Hag wasn't given his first choice players, but the ones he got, are doing a brilliant job at it. And the best part is he got professionals, and the sense that players who have won things, players who are dedicated to the job. Do you really see, in the last 5 to 6 months, Christian Eriksen going around after every game and putting out, "We go again, sorry to the fans, Jimka Delana was a bakwas"? Nothing. They are professional guys. They know they played well. They won the game. Go rest with the family, chill out. Agle din wapis training. Before the match, all the that match meeting that happens about the gameplay, strategy, etc., and then on to the pitch. Let's play. वो बकचोद नहीं है. Sorry for the language, but वो बकचोद नहीं है. जो Harry Maguire, "We go again, thank you to the fans," and dinga danga panga, but bad. So the issue is, and then you look at Casemiro. Fine, we paid. It's well discussed in all fan forums. Casemiro, we probably paid 10 or 15 million more than what we should have. But then जहाँ हमारी फटी हुई थी, वो 15 million is well spent right now. The guy literally gets the team ticking along, absolutely brilliantly. I don't think there's a better CDM in the league at the moment. No, not even City or Liverpool have that. So, and Thomas Partey for Arsenal, I don't know if he's still playing with Arsenal. I don't know.
Sweet of you to say that Liverpool had an elite CDM to begin with, because they did not. They just didn't. So
yeah. So he's controlling the game. Eriksen is absolutely professional for what he does. Anthony, yes, needs to build his game, because he comes across as somebody who Rashford under Oli in the second season was. He would run with the ball, get to the box, and then do something with his feet. वो मच्छर मार रहा होता है, अपनी मक्खियां उड़ा रहा होता है अपने पैर से, and then he'll pass it left, right, and center. So Anthony needs to develop. Malacia has been decent, but boy, Martinez, he's been like on fire from the moment he touched the first ball in the Premier League. He's been brilliant. So you had Martinez, who's serious about the game, doesn't give a shit about the criticism being thrown his way by the likes of Souness or whosoever. You have Eriksen, who's professional. You have Casemiro, who's absolutely brilliant. And it's just big. Those jigsaw pieces are beginning to come together. This January window, I hope he gets given somebody. But Eric Ten Hag has done an absolute brilliant job, which I'm 100% guaranteeing you, had Pochettino come in, he would have just scummed. We would have just had the United of last year under a new manager, nothing else. So Eric Ten Hag, I'm like a massive fan.
Yeah, I think you put a very interesting point about the likes of Eriksen or a Casemiro, like being thorough professionals and not going around and screwing out and about town once the game is over. So I think the best example of that was after the United Arsenal game, where I think Eriksen won man of the match in that game, if I'm not mistaken. I'm not sure, or it was just a post-match duty what Eriksen came out and so Eriksen was very casually came out with his slippers and then casually went about talking about with the pundits and identifying what the things that he did good and the things that he wanted to improve on, and he just walked away. So that is how it should be done. We did not have these type of characters in our dressing room before, but now our dressing room is filled with those type of characters, which can only be good for us in the long run or even in the short or medium term for fortunes of the club as well.
And if you read through the statement that Eric Ten Hag made today, that a lot of signings that were done previously were average players, and
Yes,
a United shirt requires a lot of responsibility and weighs heavily on
responsibility.
people.
He
So,
went about,
I mean,
yes, he went about to
and
even, yeah. Go on, sir, go.
and the perfect and the perfect example for that is the way he's handled Harry Maguire as well.
Yes,
Ollie couldn't lay a finger on Harry Maguire. It's like, मतलब captain है तो खिलाना ही पड़ेगा क्योंकि 80 million pounds में आया है. But nothing of that shit with Eric Ten Hag. I mean, like I said in the last video of ours as well, Harry Maguire has been reduced to that 5 minute extra time captain armband kind of a player. He's just not good enough. But then having said that, I mean, he had decent outings against Bournemouth. I
did,
think he played
yes,
the
did
full
play
90
very well.
minutes.
One,
So
one, one miscued clearance aside, I think he did not put much of a wrong foot in the
right,
entire
but
game.
but then but then it's Bournemouth. Do you think Eric Ten Hag will play him against City and Arsenal? I don't think so.
He would not, but then the way Harry Maguire's season had gone last year, I don't think you could have even trusted him to put a good performance against Bournemouth, with all
Yeah.
due respect to Harry Maguire.
I think he'll start against Charlton, but I don't think he'll start against City or Arsenal.
I doubt. Yeah, I think the same. I think he would be. I personally prefer him to play cup games. I
All right.
find Harry Maguire much more comfortable in a setting where the setting is a tournament rather than a long spread league. That is
And you
why
know,
that is why he
uh,
puts on some of his best performances in an England shirt because
and you
it is a
know,
tournament setting.
the best part of all these things about Eric Ten Hag, of all the three or four aspects that I mentioned, is that the fourth and the fifth or the most important point is that he doesn't take any shit from media.
Yeah,
His press conferences and his answers to the questions are to the point, and he doesn't whiff wash bullshit around. That the boys played well and there's a lot of motivation and a lot of hunger. बच्चों बैंक तो सीधी सीधी बात करो ना यार. नहीं ठीक से खेले और ये improve करना है बात खत्म. I mean, the last statement of his that I have some plans in mind for the next game. Right now, I need to go to
understood.
sleep. Yeah, the media pack up your bloody cameras and go home as well. So
And
his way of
it's
handling the media has also helped take away a lot of that unwanted limelight that comes into the United dressing room, which has helped the dressing room leaks quieten down totally. If you recall, we were a shit mess. I mean, we were a shit storm last year. So that is died down as well, and that goes to do with Eric Ten Hag. And lastly, because you asked me on Eric Ten Hag, the coaching staff that he's built up are now beginning to have their effect on how players train, what players eat, how they behave off the field, and so it's gradually getting there in terms of how the environment amongst the first team was during Sir Alex's time. That the manager was a final word, and you needed to carry yourself in a particular manner if you're wearing a United badge on your shirt.
Yeah, fair enough, Mauricio. I mean, if you compare, I've always noticed one thing about Eric Ten Hag and especially his assistant, Van de Graaf, for example, is that even though United have scored a goal, after that initial celebration, both of them go in very intense conversation about what has to be done next. Rather than
Right.
just keeping an extended focus on celebrations, it's just that casual fist bump. Eric Ten Hag does tend to go a little over the top, which is absolutely fine by me. I'm all in for it, for managers showing their emotions on the touchline. But then as soon as he's done with it, he straight away walks to Van de Graaf, and then they discuss the next course of action. And it helps. It helps to have a polyglot among you, because Van de Graaf's ability to speak multiple languages, he speaks 8 of them, helps a lot of the signings who do not speak English to get fairly accustomed to the surroundings around you as well. A big example of not being able to adjust to your surroundings is Darwin Nunez in Liverpool. The man
Yeah.
cannot speak Spanish. He cannot communicate with his manager. Yet, as far as I have seen, I have not seen a lot of effort being taken by the club to make sure that he's still acclimatized to the surroundings in and around him.
The man cannot speak football. Forget it. Salah open goal. I mean, the funny thing is how the open goal missing strikers always get to Liverpool. Fernando Torres missed an open goal against us, and I was in a similar position like Nunez missed the open goal versus Brentford a few days back. It's hilarious. It's just carbon copy, both of them, almost.
But I still believe that had Nunez signed for us, the very same chances that he's missing with a frightening consistency, he would be burying those here with consummate ease. The very same chances. Give him the same chances in a United shirt, Nunez buries them. That is what I feel. The opinions would differ and rightfully will, but it might be my Nunez bias speaking because I have been a massive admirer of Nunez and I've always wanted him from the in the club ever since that season that he had for Benfica. Anyways,
Right.
moving on, Abhijit bhai, you've been quiet for so long. I'm going to come to you next. So Abhijit bhai, let's talk about the impact that Ten Hag has had over the fringe players now. I mean, the the players that are there in the first 11 speak for themselves that the amount of improvement that each of these players have gone through. But let's talk about the fringe players. I mean, Harry Maguire he's been putting in solid performances. We cannot say spectacular, although credit where it's due. He's helped us gain 3 points in that West Ham game with those two blocks towards the end. Massive reason why we were able to keep our clean sheet intact. Then we have the likes of Malasia, who started, who played one of his best games in the United shirt in the Liverpool game, shackling Mo Salah. Although everyone does that at this point in time, so maybe Malasia showed what has to be done for him to be put the clamps on. Then Aaron Wan-Bissaka, special mention to him. So even Fred has been putting in very good performances coming on from the bench. This is something which Mojo sir and Rohit bhai will agree with me that you have not seen a Fred this engaged in the game for a very long time now, that with the way he's playing now currently, he comes in with a purpose and he keeps moving on until that purpose is not fulfilled. This is something which we've not seen Fred do for the longest of times. So Abhijit bhai, how much of an impact does Ten Hag has had over these fringe players? I mean, because a year ago, all of these players would be considered as rudimentary and rigid, who don't like change. Uh, Aaron Van Bissaka, for example, Varane wanted him to be more adventurous, wanted him to be more progressive with the ball, but it seemed like Aaron Van Bissaka did not want to change, did not want to learn. But fast forward now, he's been a part of the starting 11 for 4 or 5 consecutive games and has put in excellent performances in each game. So, what do you make of this? Make of the impact, Abhijit bhai, on the fringe players, and how much of a role does Ten Hag have in nurturing these other skills of these players?
सी ये टेनहाग ने जो किया है ना तो वो काफी इम्पैक्टफुल रहा है। व्हेन यू लुक एट वो एक मतलब एक इम्पैक्ट ऐसा है कि ही हैज टोल्ड द प्लेयर दैट यू शुड टेक द रिस्पांसिबिलिटी एंड अकाउंटेबिलिटी। ये दो चीज है जो मतलब हर एक यूनाइटेड प्लेयर को मतलब लेनी ही पड़ेगी। एंड ये किया है कि वो उसने कि सीधी मतलब फालतू का कुछ नहीं करना है, जो भी करना है, जो टारगेट दिया है वो करो बस, और बकवास नहीं करना है। जो जो दिया है वो करो। नाउ टॉकिंग अबाउट अभी जो फ्रेंच प्लेयर्स के बारे में, न फ्रेड का इस्तेमाल जो किया है उसने कि भाई वो थोड़ा-सा मतलब सब्स्टिट्यूशन के हिसाब से किया है, क्योंकि ही इज़ गुड इन इंटेंसिटी, बट हर बार हमें इंटेंसिटी के साथ खेल नहीं सकते। तो फ्रेड यूटिलाइजेशन का जो उसका प्रोसेस है, ही हैज़ ओनली यूटिलाइज्ड फॉर 45 मिनट्स, मतलब वो उसमें इम्पैक्टफुल रहता है। इवन इफ यू लुक एट इन द आर्सेनल गेम, मतलब वो जो जब आया था वो 30 मिनट्स, आई थिंक 60 मिनट्स के बाद, जो उसने इम्पैक्ट क्रिएट किया उस आर्सेनल के गेम में, डिफेंस वाज टोटली शैम्बल्ड फॉर आर्सेनल। तो ऐसा इम्पैक्ट उसने क्रिएट किया है फ्रेड की कि भाई तुम ये करो इस टाइम में तो तुम्हारा इम्पैक्ट रहेगा। इवन फॉर हैरी मैग्वायर, मतलब जब हमारे राफा वारन या फिर लिसांड्रो मार्टिनेज जब भी काफी थके होते हैं या फिर दे आर टायर्ड, तो वो वहाँ पे यूटिलाइज करता है हैरी मैग्वायर, कि जहाँ पे हमने मतलब एक फाउल्स भी हम ले लेते हैं तो ठीक है कोई बात नहीं, लेकिन हम इम्पैक्ट कर देते हैं कि सॉलिड है, फिजिकल है। जहाँ पे लास्ट लास्ट मिनट में टीम जो रहती है मतलब कि फिजिकल रहती है, लॉन्ग बॉल्स डालती है या फिर क्रॉसेस करती है, तब हैरी मैग्वायर कैन बी इम्पैक्टफुल। तो ऐसे टैक्टिक्स यूज करके, ऐसे फ्रिंज प्लेयर्स यूज करके हम गेम्स को हम मतलब निकाल सकते हैं। इवन फॉर वैन बिसाका, जो मतलब एक ऐसा बंदा जो मतलब उसने बोल ही दिया कि भाई तुम नहीं खेल सकते, एंड ही फॉलोड द प्रोसेस। और जो बंदा मतलब इंटरव्यू नहीं दिया, कुछ नहीं बोला मीडिया में, सिर्फ वर्क ऑन हार्ड वर्क, प्रोग्रेस, और आज देखो उतना मतलब एज टू कंट्रीब्यूट, मतलब अगर मेरे पर्सनल ओपिनियन को अगर मैं बोलूँ कि एक डिफेंस में एक पार्टनरशिप है, मतलब लेफ्ट साइड में लिसांड्रो मार्टिनेज और शॉ दोनों ने मिलके एक पार्टनरशिप की, भाई अगर मैं आगे गया तो तुम पीछे मुझे संभाल लो। Look at for that against for that वरान भी, वरान और वैन बिसाका दोनों ने मतलब एक पार्टनरशिप की कि भाई अगर तुम टैकल के लिए जा रहे हो तो मैं पीछे पीछे मैं संभालूंगा। दैट क्रिएट्स दैट टैक्टिक्स, मतलब एक ऐसा इम्पैक्टफुल रहता है कि भाई टैक्टिक्स ऐसा यूज करो। लास्ट ईयर जब हम ओले या फिर रैग्निक के हुए थे, तो एक भाई अगर आगे चला गया तो ले पीछे तो मतलब खाली स्पेस रहता था और गोल मार देते थे। तो दिस काइंड ऑफ टैक्टिक्स और मतलब जो माइंड गेम्स है जो अपोनेंट्स के साथ हमने करना चाहिए, दैट हैज टू बी, वो इम्पैक्ट टेन ने लाया है। मतलब ऐसे और एक प्लेयर में आपने मेंशन किया नहीं, शॉ। शॉ जो इतना वल्नरेबल लग रहा था लास्ट टाइम, आज एक कंप्लीट प्लेयर की तरफ उभर के आ रहा है। ही हैज लिटरली लिटरली चेंज, जो एक मतलब ही कैन, हमें पता ही नहीं था कि भाई वो मतलब सेंटर बैक के लिए भी खेल सकता है। एंड दैट मतलब हमारे पास एक और मतलब एक बूस्टर एडवांटेज आ गया है कि भाई ये खेल सकता है कि लिजांड्रो मार्टिनेज नहीं है, देन ही कैन प्ले एज लेफ्ट सी भी। तो ये ये जो इम्पैक्ट्स है टेन के थोड़े थोड़े थोड़े, दैट हैज रियली रियली क्रिएटेड सम मतलब इतना आगे आ गए हम कि स्टैंडर्ड्स और बेंचमार्क लाए। यू 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 नो हम थोड़ी छोटे-छोटे चीज़ के अगर हम वो गैप फ़िल करके आए, देन वी कैन क्रिएट अ बिग इम्पैक्ट। मतलब हर एक प्लेयर्स को रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी देना, कि कैरेक्टर में आना, कि भाई तुम ये करो और कुछ नहीं। गिव मतलब इतना मतलब कि डिसिप्लिनरी जो आप जो बोले मोजो सर और रोहित भाई ने जो बोला, दैट इज़ एब्सोल्युटली करेक्ट कि भाई हर एक बंदे को मतलब ये मतलब ट्रांसफ़ॉर्म कर रहा है, और जो भी है, जितना भी है निकाल रहा है। स्कॉट मैकटोमिनी को भी देखो अब कि भाई वो जो क्या कर रहा था, मतलब कोई उसका मतलब हम तो बेचने पे पड़े थे, लेकिन जो उसने उसका परफ़ॉर्मेंस निकाला है, दैट इज़ एब्सोल्युटली मतलब बोलने लायक भी नहीं है अब। और जो हमने जो विन्स जो किए हैं, दैट इज़ रियली रियली एब्सोल्यूट वंडर।
Yeah, fair enough, Abhijit. A lot of things improving, a lot of things moving in the right direction, and
डेल्विन
yes, yes.
डेल्विन इतना कुछ कर दिया है तो अभिजीत सैंचो का कुछ होगा कि नहीं होगा ये बताओ।
नहीं, डेफिनेटली रोहित भाई, जो आपने अब इसका एग्जांपल मैं रैशफोर्ड का ये दूंगा रोहित भाई, क्योंकि आप देखो रैशफोर्ड जब इंजरी के बाद जो उसका मतलब जो खराब फेज गया है, मतलब बैड फेज जो गया है, अब आप देख रहे हो उसका रिजल्ट क्या है, मतलब ये प्रोग्रेस और प्रोसेस जो दोनों फॉलो किए, सेम प्रोसेस आप सैंचो का भी मतलब फॉलो कर रहे हो। एंड वो इम्पैक्टफुल है सैंचो। सैंचो का मतलब रियली रियली आप देखोगे तो मैं मुझे मुझे जैसे डेल्विन भाई बोलते हैं कि भाई नूनेस का मतलब नूनेस चाहिए होता तो क्या होता, मैं मेरा विश्वास है कि सैंचो 100% कुछ ना कुछ तो लाएगा। आफ्टर मतलब जनवरी तो एंड तक तो ट्रांसफर विंडो में तक तो कुछ ना कुछ तो लाए। ही कैन मतलब जो अटैक में चाहिए हमें कंपोजर, वो डेफिनेटली सैंचो प्रोवाइड कर सकता है।
बढ़िया।
Rohit bhai, speaking about players and this only. Uh, so if we take, so there is something about Ten Hag that whatever players he has dropped, be it for performance reasons or be it for any other reasons that for that matter, whoever he has dropped, that player after a certain time has come back into the side, has put in excellent performances, and then has somehow managed to cement his place in the squad. Starting with Luke Shaw only. Luke Shaw had a horrible first two games. He was benched by Malasia. Malasia did a very good job then, and then once again when the players were switched, we have seen that Luke Shaw is virtually undroppable. Such is the level of his performances. We talked the same about Diogo Dalot and Aaron Wan-Bissaka. you've seen the level of Van Bissaka's performances in the last 4 to 5 games that he started. I know now you're not a very good fan of Van Bissaka, but even a layman can see the massive difference between the Van Bissaka previously and Van Bissaka now. You can see that the guy is not afraid to carry the ball forward, and he, even in spite of him committing a mistake, it doesn't discourage him from going forward again. Which you
भाई वो
which
बैटरीज
you
मारने लगा है, वो
आप
बैटरी
वही
करता
देखो.
है,
हाँ,
अपोजिशन बॉक्स में ट्रिकरी कर रहा है. तो
and the biggest thing is that you can see that there is a massive improvement in his crossing, as
यस,
well now. And then we come to Anthony as well. Anthony was dropped for a game or two, and now he's come back and bounced back with a goal. So, what do you think? Is this some form of magic sawdust that Ten Hag has somewhere up his drawer? That whichever now you can see, even Lisandro Martinez has to find a way to get into the starting 11 because of the amount of good performances that players have put in and around him. So, what do you make of this particular section of Ten Hag? That ये वही बात हुई कि ये जिस चीज को हाथ लगा रहा है वो सोने में बदल रहा है. ये वैसे ही बात है कि जिस प्लेयर को टेन हाग ड्रॉप कर रहा है, आप समझ जाओ कि ये प्लेयर अभी आके जब भी प्लेयर आएगा वो बढ़िया परफॉर्मेंस ही दे के जाएगा. ये सब्जेक्ट पे आपका क्या ओपिनियन है?
यार सी इसमें मेरे ख्याल से ना दो चीजें हैं. वन इज प्रॉपर ट्रेनिंग एंड दूसरा इज एफिशिएंट मैन मैनेजमेंट. मैन मैनेजमेंट करते हैं लोग, मैन मैनेजमेंट ओले ने बहुत किया था. उसके टाइम पे भी मैन मैनेजमेंट बहुत चलता था कि वो मैन मैनेज कर रहे हैं. बट देर इज एफिशिएंट मैन मैनेजमेंट. एफिशिएंट इन अ सेंस कि बिसाका वाज इंजर्ड, बिसाका डाउन एंड आउट हो चुका था, बट देन टू गिव हिम दैट कॉन्फिडेंस, वो अपोजिशन बॉक्स में जाके अब ट्रिकरी कर रहा है, क्रॉसेस डाल रहा है. एवरीबॉडी इन द वर्ल्ड हैड गिवन होप. मैंने तो मतलब मैं तो यही सोचा था कि जनवरी में जाएगा वो बंदा. तो दैट इज एफिशिएंट मैन मैनेजमेंट. वो दैट हेल्प्स अ लॉट. एंड प्लस एवरीबॉडी इन दिस स्क्वाड नोस कि इफ यू आर नॉट परफॉर्मिंग देन यू विल बी ड्रॉप्ड, which is the most important thing. This is the bread and butter of you people. You will have to perform, then only you will be picked up and to be played. So that's how it has to be. आप सिटी का एग्जांपल ले लो, वहां उनका माहरेज, बर्नार्डो सिल्वा, इन दोनों में से कोई एक ही मेरे ख्याल से खेलता है, बट दे आर ऑलवेज गिविंग देयर 100%. वो क्यों दे रहे हैं? बिकॉज दे नो कि हमें जितने चांसेस मिलेंगे वी हैव टू प्रूव दैट आई एम बेटर देन हिम. वो पेप गार्डियोला, दैट इज हाउ ही हैज बीन मैनेजिंग दिस प्लेयर्स. यहाँ अपने यहाँ तो वो था ही नहीं. अपने यहाँ वो साला, वो उसकी लड़ाई हो गई थी ना, एरिक बाई की लड़ाई हो गई थी ओले से, इसलिए हुई थी कि वो तुम्हारा कैप्टन इंजर्ड है, उसने एक ट्रेनिंग सेशन नहीं लिया, तुम उसे खिला रहे हो, मुझे नहीं खिला रहे हो. So that is how it was handled, and now things have changed. ल्यूक शॉ का आपने एग्जांपल दे दिया. फ्रेड का इतना बढ़िया वो बंदा अब सब्स्टिट्यूट में आके जो इम्पैक्ट डाल रहा है, ही नोज हिज रोल. आपने देखा होगा कल के भी मैच में वो अगर पीछे ट्रैक बैक कर रहा है, देन ही इज आल्सो इंस्ट्रक्टिंग दोस प्लेयर जो आगे फॉरवर्ड लाइन में, उनको इंस्ट्रक्ट भी करता है वो कि व्हाट इज योर मूवमेंट, तुम्हें कहाँ जाना है, क्या करना है. दीज थिंग्स ऑल कम विद अ पॉजिटिव एनवायरनमेंट एंड अ गुड प्रॉपर ट्रेनिंग. मैंने मोदो सर, आपको याद होगा मैंने बोला था कि इनको ट्रेनिंग नहीं मिल रही है. आप, हमारी बात हुई थी कभी ग्रुप में, तो मैंने आपको बोला था कि एक कोच तो ला के दो जो इनको ट्रेन करे. यहाँ तो कोच हमारे बैठे रहते थे, वो मोटू साहब देते थे, फिलन साहब आते थे, वो करते थे, करवाते थे काम. So that's how things have changed. Proper good training and efficient man management. These two things have really impacted. And plus there is accountability and nobody can be assured of his place. वो तो रोनाल्डो को नहीं खिलाया था यार, रोनाल्डो को निकाल के लात मार के निकाल दिया. Who can be assured of his place? So these things have impacted and ये positive है. वो काफी, I'm very happy with seeing these things.
Yeah, like you said, Rohit, by everyone over here is happy to see that things finally, after so long, are moving in the right direction. Because it was always in the previous times, it was always a case of one step forward and two steps, 5 steps back, with the way things used to work in the club. But now it's not 2 steps forward, it's not 2 steps back, but it's always going one step forward. And I think going one step forward is better than taking 2 steps back after taking one step forward, which is what is there for everyone to see. While there is a lot of positives about this winning run, or with the resilience or with the hard nosed attitude that the players have, there is still some cause of concern, Mojo sir. Let's talk about the grey areas in the middle of this winning run. First of all, the common gripe which is there among everyone, that's the strength of the opposition. But we've already spoken about that and covered about the fact that you can only beat what is in front of you. And the media wolves would have been quick enough to pounce upon the fact that we would have, if we had managed to lose to any one of them for that matter. So that issue has been nipped in the bud as it is. Second is Ten Hag still isn't happy about the performances in some of these wins. He's happy with the result, don't get me wrong. Any manager will be happy to get 3 points at the end of the day, especially if you're performing badly. But if these past 8 games were to be isolated and looked upon one by one, you can see that we have not been dominant in any of the games for the whole 90 minutes. Even in the games against Nottingham Forest and Bournemouth, where the scoreline was convincing. But the manner in which we reached the scoreline wasn't. Each and every game on an isolation, we've dominated for around 60 to 65 minutes at best, but somehow we're still not able to dominate for an entire 90 like a City would do, for example, or when Liverpool used to do it in those 2 years when they were absolutely unstoppable, or seemingly unstoppable for that matter. So there is also the fact that we've spoken about squad depth, and I think you and I will both agree that the midfield is one Casemiro injury away from descending into absolute free fall. One Casemiro injury away, and even our defense is one Varane or one Martinez injury away from Harry Maguire certainly starting a run of games. And banking upon Harry Maguire to be consistent is something that is in very short supply at this point in time, in spite of the solid performances that he's put. So, what is the way forward from here to make sure that this soft underbelly that we have is protected in such a way where we can genuinely take the next step into becoming the team that we all envision to be, and what Ten Hag himself envisions this team to be? Because we have seen in his way of managing that he's a mixture of a proactive and a reactive coach. When he's seen that his philosophy was not working in the first 2 games, he changed it to accommodate the style of play that his players have been used to, or with the amount of players that he has at his disposal. Once he got the profile of the players, some of them, there is a visible change in style. So, what do you think about this grey area that we are going through? The fact that we're still not able to dominate 90 minutes of the game, and the fact that how Ten Hag addresses this from here. The fact that we need reinforcements is a no-brainer. So let's keep that matter aside, and let's look at the other factors where this team can improve, or where Ten Hag himself could be a little more hands-on with in this matter.
Look, when you say about when we talk about this run of 8 games that we've had, and it's been against opposition that's relatively easy to play with all due respect to those sides. But then you also got to take into account that we have now beaten City. Not City. We've beaten Arsenal. We've beaten Spurs. We've beaten Liverpool. We drew with Chelsea, and we drew with Newcastle. So it's not that against the big teams that we have been rolled over. We have stood our ground, and we have played well. But when you are inheriting a team that's a mishmash of all the mess of over last 7-8 years, there are going to be results which are going to come unexpectedly. Now, after having won versus Arsenal and Liverpool, least did we expect that we're going to be at the receiving end versus City. We just didn't turn up. Similarly, the loss just before the World Cup versus Aston Villa, we just didn't turn up. So that's where the problem comes in, where you say that if we put aside the fact that reinforcements matter aside, and then we look at what the team is, that's where lies the answer. We have beaten the better teams, and you're absolutely right. You can only beat what's in front of you. If you recall, we had this similar kind of run of games when Rangnick took over, when we were talking about those 10 or 11 games of teams that were in the bottom half of the table.
we didn't lose to them, but
And
we didn't win
yeah,
either. We were drawing somewhere,
yeah, exactly.
letting
So there were
leads go. Yeah.
11 games, and as far as I recall, out of the 11, we drew 3, we lost 4 or 5, or we won 2 or 3, something like that. So our record was quite atrocious in those 11 to 12 games versus the teams. We were very confident that Ranier system, Ranier style will see us through and whatever. I mean, Ranier within 30 minutes against Crystal Palace realized that this team cannot play 4-2-2-2 or whatever that formation that he was trying. So that's what Eric Ten Hag faced. I mean, he realized he couldn't play that system in the first 2 games. Uh, so we have beaten the big boys. Uh, and the way the fixtures line up, you don't play the big boys every single day of the Premier League season. So the teams that are there in front of you, we are beating them. The only difference is, not the only, but the big difference is previously while we were beating these teams, we were beating them, you know, in whichever way possible, with one of those individual performances. Rashford will stand out, or a Bruno will stand out. But now it's a team game. Look at that Luke Shaw Luke Shaw goal versus Bournemouth. Like, brilliantly worked. There were about 5 to 6 players involved in that entire move. So the team is coming together. But when you say that the team drops off after 60 minutes, that's where the problem is, because you don't have a bench strength. Now, all of a sudden, if you're going to replace the quality of a Casemiro and an Eriksen with the likes of Fred and McTominay, it is going to drop off. If you think that you have to protect a Martial or an Anthony with a Elanga or a Garnacho, then Garnacho, yes, is a boy on fire right now. I mean, he's just he's just brilliant for what he's doing at his age. But Elanga, was shining a few games when he came in, and now he's like again a fringe kind of a player. So that's where the problem is. And yes, you're absolutely right. It is scary कि कल को अगर भगवान ना करे मार्टिनेज या वैरान को कुछ हो गया, then you're back to Lindelof and Maguire, and that's not going to be good. Something goes, and you also got to take into account what was beginning to happen before the World Cup. We almost ran Eriksen to dust. Why? Because he was beginning to get tired. His performances had dipped big time, and then you're looking at McTominay in the middle of the park. That's a scary thing again. Yes, he would have improved, but does McTominay or Fred bring in the same quality as Eriksen or Casemiro do? No, they don't. Up front, we are still thin. I mean, let's be honest, we need Martial to start scoring goals. Otherwise, the pressure is going to be on Rashford and Anthony alone, because Bruno isn't chipping in with goals at the moment, but he's one of those players who can pop up with a goal anytime, anywhere, because he's doing that with assists. Even if he's having a bad game, he's giving those assists for the goals to come in. But to answer your question, Eric Ten Hag will have to keep his fingers crossed. Hope they get a striker in this January. Hope the sale happens so that better players can be signed in the summer. Otherwise, it's finger crossed. It is what it is. You play a strong team for 60, 65 minutes, hope that you have a 2-goal cushion, and then you get the French players on to see through the game. But I think the bench that we had yesterday versus Everton is going to be the starting 11 versus Charlton. So that's where we are. If you don't take into account the players that you need to sign and for which positions, it's fingers crossed for the rest of the season. Like I said, we still have 21 games in the Premier League season to go, and that is freaking scary. You're not even halfway through, and so it's just hoping that the spine, literally the spine, you go from Rashford to Bruno to Casemiro to Eriksen to Martinez and Varane and David De Gea. You just hope these 7-8 players remain injury free and they are given enough time, to rest, or they are substituted effectively in games when you're playing well, because you don't want them to you don't want them to run to ground. No. Because if you recall again, while Oli was here, Rashford was all over the place in the second season. The guy was being made to play under injury. So the thing that everybody mentioned with regards to how the man management is happening, Eric Ten Hag has given everybody a time to actually get back to their beds, get their heads sorted out, get their fitness going, because Rashford wasn't rushed into starting this season. Right now, Sancho isn't being rushed to into coming back into the team. Similarly, Martial during the World Cup was taken away and put through a proper training and a diet program so that he could get his sharpness going. So and with it's a very good observation that with Martinez, हो सकता है वो सातवें आसमान पे हो भाई मैं वर्ल्ड कप जीत गया हूँ. He's actually played Luke Shaw as a center back for 2 games and told Martinez, mate, the World Cup जीत गया तो क्या हुआ? मेरे पास दूसरा बंदा तैयार है. You know, if you get too cocky about winning the World Cup and not listening to the way I want to play, I have Luke Shaw and who's played really well for those 2 games. ठीक है, आप ये argue कर सकते हो it's against Bournemouth and whosoever we played, but still he did put in a performance. So yeah, he's getting his things right. He's getting his things right. But again, coming back to what you
Fingers
asked,
crossed. Fingers
Faisal,
crossed.
fingers crossed, the spine of the team, along with Dallo and Luke Shaw, remain fit. Otherwise, the drop off is scary. It is
Yeah.
seriously scary.
Definitely. So yeah, like Ojas Bhai says, every player in the 11, in the bench or reserves has to step up any time of the season and when it's required, and this wins you titles. I mean, yeah, totally. Everyone, it's the responsibility of everyone to step up as and when you're called upon
Yeah.
to do. And without that, the team will not go anywhere, no matter how hard the manager tries or no matter how the rest of the players try. Vinay has a very important question for FPL as far as I'm concerned. So since I have been killing it in FPL this season, will I captain Haaland against United this week? Well, that's a rather difficult question. I'm going to
I would
wait
drop him.
until no, I'm going to wait until the FA Cup fixture happens because Spurs have already won their game against Portsmouth. So just in case if City do end up drawing their game and have a replay of this game, the double game week doesn't have the City and Spurs double game week doesn't happen. That game gets moved on. So I'm going to wait until this game to finally finalize whether I'm going to make Haaland my captain or no. So it's a toss up between Haaland and Kane. I'm currently leaning towards Haaland because of the sheer fact that this man is a cheat code and he'll find some way or the other to score. He always does. I don't mind if he does score and end up losing. That's fine by me, as long as we are the ones ending up on the winning side. So it is what it is. I'm going to, for now, Haaland is my captain. Let's see if there is any changes or something. So Nikhil Bhai says, Rohit Bhai is a fashion icon and his topi game is on point. Yes, everyone on the panel acknowledges that. And
Absolutely.
and
Shocking.
Karthik also says that you are the best analyst after Jamie Redknapp. I mean, kaha Jamie
Is that a
Redknapp or
compliment?
kaha aap? I exactly. I don't think that is. I don't
कार,
think that
कार,
is.
कार्तिक
Karthik
व्हाट्सएप
is
में
being
तेरे को कुछ
cocky.
गालियां ही
Karthik is
निकलोगे
being
मेरे से.
cocky.
So let's talk about let's get the final thoughts about this run. It's going to be a common question for everyone. What are the expectations for the rest of the month? Since Mojo sir has rightly pointed out that as far as the Premier League is concerned, there's still half of the season left. We have yet to play the Europa League, where we have to play a certain broke club in Catalonia, who we do hope to beat. I genuinely hope that we beat them so that we are the ones who put the final nail in their coffin, and they get banished to the streets. But with that being said, Abhijit bhai, your expectations for the rest of the season now. What do you think? What are your realistic ambitions, and where do you see the club come the end of the season in all four competitions that we are in currently?
Firstly, I want to point out that we need some two players. I think we need one striker and, if possible, we CM, because if you see, Donny Van de Beek is getting injured and he's probably out for 3 to 4 months. They are estimating the time. So I'm I'm betting that Tenak should, recruit someone in midfield, because we need a player. We don't have, someone play for Bruno or any player to replace him. So we have only 2 or 3 players, but we have the academy player, but we can't rely on them because we know that they are not up to that level to, experience that pressure. So we need someone, who can fill that shoes. Talking about this rest of the season, I think we can, be at the third or fourth position, probably fourth, because looking at the squad depth, I'm not, betting on that we can finish in the top three. Top four is achievable, and we can achieve it. Look, if this run goes on, then definitely we can achieve the top four.
Yeah, fair enough. Ojas Bhai also says that January is messed up with fixtures. We also have to rotate wisely, or else facing Barca and Feb will be very tough from a quality perspective. So, Rohit Bhai, we'll get your final thoughts. What are your expectations for the rest of the season? We can keep it short if you want to.
भाई मेरे को ट्रस्ट इश्यूज है मैनचेस्टर यूनाइटेड से, मेरे को क्रेजी टाइप का ट्रस्ट इश्यूज है. आई स्टिल कैन नॉट बिलीव, एज आई टोल्ड यू स्टार्ट में बोला था मैंने, आई एम गोइंग वन गेम एट अ टाइम, दैट्स ऑल. पहले अभी चार्ल्टन से जीतना है एंड देन सिटी को हराना है. वो 6-0 वाली स्क्रीनिंग बहुत खराब थी. हिम्मत करके हमने फिर से स्क्रीनिंग रखी है अभी 14 को, तो
6-3
उसमें
हुई थी
उनका
ना भाई, 6-3 हुई थी ना,
Yeah,
6-3
6
हुई
3.
थी.
6-3.
इतना भी गंदा नहीं खेले थे एंग्जाइटी भाई, 0 तो नहीं
भाई
था.
फर्स्ट हाफ तो बहुत ही गंदा था यार, वो मतलब हिम्मत याद
नहीं,
दिलाओ.
आई वुड एंग्जाइटी भाई, मेरा हमेशा आर्गुमेंट ये रहा है, और 2-3 लोगों से फिर वो ग्रुप पे आर्गुमेंट हो जाता है, इसलिए मैं चुप हो जाता हूँ. सिटी स्कोर्ड द सेकंड एंड थर्ड गोल व्हेन वरान वाज आउट इंजर्ड.
हाँ
Second goal के लिए Varane lay on the 12-yard box. I mean the referee didn't stop the game, and the third goal happened when Varane was on the sideline getting the injury sorted. So had he been on the field and not injured, I presume, it's my presumption, that वो second or third goal शायद नहीं होते.
सर वो एम्बैरेसिंग था, पर जो रिजल्ट आया ना वो मैच का एम्बैरेसिंग था. दैट वाज वेरी एम्बैरेसिंग. एंड हाँ, तो अभी बदला लेना है. मैं कुछ नहीं बोलूंगा, सीजन एंड एंड ऑल. बार्सिलोना से मेरे को ओजस्टी का जो कमेंट आया उससे मेरे को ये ध्यान में आ रहा है कि अभी किसी ने आज या कल व्हाट्सएप ग्रुप पे ही बोला था कि जस्ट बिकॉज ऑफ द फैक्ट कि मार्टिनेज इज सस्पेंडेड फॉर यूरोपा लीग, दैट्स व्हाई अभी अपने ल्यूक शॉ को ट्राई कर रहे हैं लेफ्ट सेंटर बैक में, विच इज अ वेरी वैलिड पॉइंट. सो यस, एंड भाई अभी तो कुछ नहीं है. टॉप 4 तो आ ही जाएंगे, दिस मच आई नो, टॉप 4 में तो रहेंगे ही. बट यस, अभी मेरे को सिटी हराना है एंड आर्सेनल.
Moja sir, your final expectations for this season, and then we wrap up.
Look, I'll go with what Rohit Bhai is saying. You just go game by game, because like we discussed in the last video, we have the number of players. We don't necessarily have the quality of players. So and that's a good observation, Rohit Bhai. मुझे ये पता नहीं था. Maybe I missed that message on the WhatsApp group. Normally तो मैं सारे पढ़ता हूँ कि Luke Shaw being played as a centre back is probably because Martinez is going to be suspended for that Barcelona game. So that's a good observation. But look, game by game, let's hope the spine of the team remains injury-free and are rested enough. And let's hope the players coming in step up. Garnacho surely has stepped up. Elanga needs to take that next step. Or if Eric Ten Hag believes that Elanga can't, maybe you put a rabbit out of the hat and make Pellistri play. Because that's what we did against Roma with Ahmad, if you recall. So something out of the box needs to happen just to keep the spine of the team rested and fit enough for the season ahead. But yeah, next game, just beat Charlton, wherein I believe the likes of Anthony, Eriksson, if not Bruno, but Casemiro, Varane, Martinez, they might be rested. Martinez might be given a game time because he's only had about 10-15 minutes against Everton, so he might get a game time. Shaw might be rested. Dalot might play because he just had a game or a game and a half. So coming to City though, I don't believe it's going to be City's game the way it was at the Etihad. It's just not going to happen. And the reason why something makes me positive about that game, going into a City game after a very long time, is that my manager said, "Thank you, Pep," or "Thank you, City, for that lesson."
Thank you for the lesson.
I don't think he's letting that happen again. We might land up losing a close battle, but we're not getting we're not getting walloped the way we did at the Etihad. But then just imagine a situation which we could be in, that if you do turn over City and Arsenal, oh boy,
we come second. We go
second, and then it's anybody's game. We're not title contenders, but top 4 should be a decent finish. But with what Rohit Bhai said, a game at a time, keep the spine injury free and well rested and fresh, and let's see where we go from there.
Focus,
All right.
sir, focus चाहिए. Players focus has to be there.
Yeah.
We can
Yes.
win against City and Arsenal easily. हम जीत सकते हैं. If we do a proper homework, then definitely. If you look at the City run, they are drawing against Chelsea and Everton. They are so
So, like I
City.
said,
down to the table. Huh?
Delvin, Delvin, if you recall, we discussed this that City with the amount of focus they have on Haaland as a main man to try and get the ball to.
They're
If
not free.
you
They're not that
they're
level of
not
free
free
flowing
flowing, yeah.
anymore.
So if you can get Haaland out of the game, then City are basically just passing the ball sideways 75, 80 minutes of the game these days.
Yes.
So that can be countered. We weren't prepared for that when we went there. We tried to take them on front foot, and we got done.
I still believe that the break hampered us. If we didn't
Yeah.
have if we didn't have that extra week, maybe we could have put in a much better performance. But
Yes.
still, doesn't change the fact that we were bad for that game. But what's happened is happened. I think the only way forward is to learn from our mistakes, and I think we have smartened up enough, to not repeat the mistakes that we did in the reverse fixture against them. And against, as far as Arsenal is concerned, our record over there has been piss poor. The last time we won there was way back in 2017, and we are entering the sixth year, and we still have no Premier League result against Arsenal at the Emirates. So will Ten Hag be the one to break the jinx, or does that jinx go on? It's a very fascinating month that we have in store for us. Multiple myriad of possibilities. We could end up second by the end of this month. We could go low to as low as sixth by the end of the month.
I don't think. Sorry to interrupt you. I don't think we're going to go lower as six as low as six, because you got to see that we are what, some 5 or 6 points ahead of Chelsea
Oh
in
yeah,
fifth,
no,
and about
Chelsea's 10th.
seven.
Chelsea's
Oh,
Spurs.
sorry,
Spurs.
Spurs. Yeah, and about
Don't give
7 to 8
Chelsea so
points.
much respect, sir. Don't give Chelsea so much also respect. 10th.
Okay, point taken. 10th. Yeah, and I think we are about 7 or 8 points ahead of Liverpool in sixth.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes.
Could be,
So I
yeah.
don't see us losing so many points that will drop to six, because Liverpool and Spurs also have some tricky fixtures with some of the other better performing teams this season.
Spurs have
By the time
Arsenal.
we get to Arsenal, yeah.
Spurs have
So
Arsenal. Yes.
the Spurs have Arsenal. Yeah. So I mean, look, uh, injury free row, take one game at a time, and check the patte.
All right. With that being said, we've come to the end of the stream. So, guys, do like, share, and subscribe our YouTube channel. We've become much more consistent, much more better at delivering content, and we will keep on coming up with many more new faces. Anxiety, the boss, has graced us with his presence today, and we will hope that he keeps on gracing us with his presence in this
with,
the stream.
with the way, yeah, exactly. जैसे तुम्हें खाली नमस्ते कर रहे हो ना, तुम्हारा नाम क्या कहना, anxiety the boss के should be like Sakar, and then we go
Yes.
Govinda, 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 Govinda.
And we are also active on our socials. We are active on Instagram, we're active on Twitter. Do drop
Right.
us a follow. We do drop us a follow there. We are making our Instagram platform much more interactive, so do watch out that space. That space will be utilized much more. And with that being said, I say this on every stream, and today's stream is no different. Every day is match day on our official WhatsApp group. You see Mojo sir missing messages is enough evidence of how active that WhatsApp group is throughout the day. For a man who reads almost all his messages and somehow missing one, that's the amount of activity that happens on the group, irrespective of whether
If
it's
I
match
if
day
I
or
if I
not.
may if I may share, Delvin, yesterday actually I'm on the WhatsApp group through both my numbers, the other phone as well. So I happened to have switched on the other phone. It went out. The battery got discharged day before yesterday, late at night. So I switched on the phone at about 4 or 5 p.m. this evening, and by then we had something like 1,400 messages on both the groups put together. So yeah, what you said is absolutely right. Even if on a no match day, we are like buzzing like a match day
Moses,
WhatsApp
Exactly.
group.
sorry to
Boom
interrupt,
by
but
boom by की छत पे
last
छाया
one
ऐसा
month,
बस.
I have
Huh.
stats that around 42,000 messages have been chatted in WhatsApp group, and they have not opened till yet.
Holy
42,000
crap.
on एक
42,000.
सैंटो
yes
जब गोल मारेगा ना तभी खोलना.
yes
तब तो
definitely
तब तो व्हाट्सएप ग्रुप क्या क्रैश हो जानी है एंजाइटी भाई
हाँ.
व्हाट्सएप ग्रुप ही क्रैश हो जानी है with that being said we are all in readiness for the Manchester derby. Pep's men did a number on us the previous game. Will we step up and will we return the favor? We don't know that for sure, but what I can tell you is that we are organizing a screening for that game on the 14th at Smash in Dwarka. So all the details are provided. Do join us in large numbers, guys. Screenings of MUFC Red Devils NCR is a big thing, and it is an immersive fan experience which I personally vouch for, and you do not want to miss that. It's a big game for all of us, so get your game faces on. There are a host of cool offers that you can check out as well. So do join us at Smash for the experience of a lifetime. Speaking about experiences of a lifetime, we have a website which is also dedicated entirely for the fans. So you can go ahead and enjoy yourself with the prediction contest, with the quiz contest. If there are football freaks who love reading, you all can check out the blog section. It's consistently being updated and active. So you can go ahead and give the website a look. With that being said, this is Delvin, Mojo Sir, Anxiety Bhai, and Abhijit saying goodbye. We will see you soon with another episode of MSC Red Devils NCR. Till then, stay safe, take care, good night, and ggmu. Long may the winning run continue. And yes, Everton is the bigger Merseyside club. Goodbye.
Cheers, guys. Take
Goodbye.
care.
Thanks guys.